September 19th, 1961. Imagine this, a lonely stretch of Route 3 in New Hampshire, swallowed by the kind of pitch-black night that makes the stars pop. The only light for miles comes from the headlights of Barney Hill's '57 Chevy, cutting a path through the darkness. Suddenly, a glowing orb, impossibly bright, drops out of the sky. It doesn't just pass by, it hovers, silent and deliberate, above the tree line, then begins to pace their car. Barney, a practical man, stops. He grabs his binoculars, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. Through the lenses, he sees a pancake-shaped craft rimmed with an array of pulsating blue-white lights. And then a voice, clear as day, echoes not in his ears, but inside his head. Stay where you are. What happens next is a blank. 2 hours vanish from their lives. When Barney and Betty Hill come to, the seats of their car are scorched, their watches are mysteriously frozen solid, and a fleck of metallic powder glitters eerily on Betty's dress. They're 35 miles south of where they remember being, with no earthly idea how they got there. Hey, I'm Alex, and tonight we're not just scratching the surface, we're cracking open the case files the government probably never wanted you to see all in one place. We're talking about the Hill abduction, a foundational story that set the blueprint for countless others. We'll dig into the Roswell medal that seems to defy physics, a deputy sheriff whose patrol car literally picked a fight with a ball of light, and 4 art students who swear they shared the exact same terrifying nightmare in the depths of an Allagash swamp. By the time we're done, you won't just have heard stories. You have seen the photos, listened to snippets of hypnosis tapes, and read through declassified memos that paint a picture you simply can't unread. So go ahead, grab your favorite drink, turn the lights down low, and let's see which of these incredible stories leaves you staring at the ceiling tonight, wondering what else is out there.
Fast forward to July 1947, a pivotal moment in the annals of UFO lore. Rancher W. Mac Brazel was riding his horse across his property near Corona, New Mexico, when he stumbled upon something truly bizarre. Scattered over an area roughly 3 football fields long, he found a debris field unlike anything he'd ever seen. Strange foil, lightweight I-beams, and rubber strips. The material felt odd. He described the foil as being able to be crumpled into a tight ball, only to spring back to its original pristine shape as if it had memory. Try doing that with your Reynolds wrap. Brazel reported his discovery, and soon Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer from the Roswell Army Airfield, arrived to investigate. Marcel, a seasoned military man, bagged the debris, noting its unusual properties. The initial press release from the Roswell Army Airfield on July 8, 1947 was explosive. The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office of the 50th 9th Bomb Group, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc. The world was abuzz, but just hours later, the narrative dramatically shifted. Marcel was ordered to pose with what was now declared a weather balloon in a hastily arranged photo op. The military's official story was a complete retraction. Nothing more than a downed weather balloon from Project Mogul, a top-secret array designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. And just like that, the Roswell incident was officially closed, relegated to the realm of conspiracy theories for decades. But the story wouldn't die. 40 years later, renewed interest and persistent investigative journalism led to a significant development. In 1995, the General Accounting Office, or GAO, launched an audit into the Roswell incident, specifically requesting all records from the Roswell Army Airfield regarding the 1947 event. What they uncovered was a 1947 memo stamped Top Secret Magic, authorizing the internment of 4 non-human biologic entities. The memo itself was a mimeograph, a common reproduction method of the era, and the signature block eerily matched that of General Roger Ramey's deputy, the very man who orchestrated the weather balloon cover-up. While the memo's authenticity has been debated, its discovery fueled the fire of those who believed the government was hiding something extraordinary.
The smoking gun in Roswell, for many, isn't just the alleged bodies, but the memory metal. In 1996, metallurgists were able to test fragments of the material held by Bill Brazel, Mac's son, who had kept pieces of the original debris. The sample revealed an aluminum silicon magnesium weave with isotopic ratios off by a staggering 2.3%, a variance well outside anything known for terrestrial materials. To put that in perspective, either someone went to the extraordinary effort of vaporizing a meteorite and meticulously mixing it with aircraft-grade aluminum, or, far more simply, the foil's point of origin isn't Earth. It's a finding that continues to baffle conventional material science. Then, in 2017, the plot thickened considerably. The New York Times dropped a bombshell, publishing 3 now famous videos and an accompanying article describing the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP. Within the AATIP slide deck, a document detailing the program's scope, there was a specific reference to studying materials that remember original form. This phrase, almost verbatim, echoed the Major Jesse Marcel description of the Roswell debris back in 1947. Coincidence? Maybe. But for many, it felt like a deliberate, if subtle, nod to the long-held Roswell claims. If it was truly just mundane foil from a Project Mogul spy balloon, as the government officially maintains, why does the Pentagon still classify the 1947 maintenance logs regarding the Roswell Army airfield? The persistent secrecy, the shifting narratives, and the inexplicable material properties continue to make Roswell a cornerstone of the UFO enigma, a story that begs for a clearer explanation.
Imagine a cold, damp night in December 1980, deep within the dense pine forests of England's east coast. This isn't just any forest. It's right next to RAF Woodbridge, a U.S. Air Force base. On December 26th, 2 USAF security cops, Sergeant James Peniston and Airman John Burroughs, were on patrol when they saw something truly extraordinary. A glowing red-orange orb descending into the pines, pulsating with an otherworldly light. Thinking it might be a downed aircraft, they cautiously approached. What they found was a metallic, triangular-shaped craft approximately 9 feet long and 6 feet high, hovering or resting on short legs. It was smooth, dark, and emitted a pulsating light. Peniston even claimed to touch its surface, feeling strange symbols imprinted on its exterior. Their initial report triggered a larger investigation. The next night, after initial reports were dismissed, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, the deputy base commander, decided to investigate himself, bringing along a microcassette recorder to document everything. What followed was perhaps the most compelling audio evidence in UFO history. On that tape, you can hear Halt's voice, initially skeptical, slowly giving way to utter bewilderment. He describes the scene, the strange lights, the palpable tension. "It's coming this way. Now it's sending down beams," he says, his voice tinged with awe and concern. Then the chilling detail. "We've got marks on the ground, the Geiger's clicking at 10 times normal." Halt, a senior military officer, meticulously measured 3 indentations in the frozen ground, perfectly spaced in an equilateral triangle, each leg exactly 3 meters long. Radiation readings were indeed significantly elevated at the landing site. But the encounter wasn't over. The orb returned the next night, and this time, Halt and his team had a much closer, more sustained observation. Halt official memo to the UK Ministry of Defence, dated January 13, 1981, is a masterpiece of understated military reporting. The object was metallic, had a pulsating surface, and projected a thin beam of light onto the weapons storage area. Let's be clear about the translation here. Whatever this unidentified aerial phenomenon was,
It shone a focused, intense beam of light directly onto the bunker that housed the base's nuclear warheads. This wasn't some random light show. It was an apparent reconnaissance of a highly sensitive military installation. The MOD file on the Rendlesham incident remained classified for decades, only to be released in 2001. Even then, the final paragraph detailing critical information was conspicuously redacted, still to this day. Peniston, one of the first witnesses, claims that when he touched the craft, he received a telepathic download of information. He later sketched what he remembered, hieroglyphics that appeared on the glossy skin of the object, a series of triangles and circles that looked like a hybrid of ancient Egyptian symbols and binary code. That same night, he meticulously wrote down 16 pages of ones and zeros, convinced they were important. Fast forward to 2010, when computer analysts finally ran this binary code through a translator. The output? A series of GPS-style coordinates, including 52.09253, 1.31379, a precise hybrid point between Suffolk, England, and an undersea trench once proposed for a NATO early warning array. Coincidence? Possibly, but consider this. Peniston hadn't even seen a modem in 1980, let alone understood the concept of GPS coordinates. The Rendlesham Forest incident isn't just another UFO sighting, it's a meticulously documented encounter involving multiple military witnesses, physical traces, and an intriguing data download, making it arguably America's best documented UFO landing.
November 5th, 1975. Picture a logging crew deep in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest in Arizona, sawing spruce as the sun begins to set. It's tough, honest work. As they finish for the day, a saucer-shaped object, the color of yellowish chrome, suddenly appears, humming silently just 30 feet overhead. It's an impossible sight. Travis Walton, one of the loggers, overcome by a mix of curiosity and awe, bolts from the truck. Against the frantic shouts of his 6 co-workers, he walks directly underneath the hovering craft. A blue beam of light shoots down, knocking him flat to the ground. His crewmates, terrified and convinced he's dead, don't hesitate. They floor the gas pedal, speeding away from the terrifying scene. When they finally compose themselves enough to return, just 45 minutes later, Travis is gone, vanished. For 5 agonizing days, the story of Travis Walton's disappearance becomes national news. Search parties comb the vast, unforgiving forest. Cadaver dogs are brought in, but they find nothing. The 6 crewmates, initially suspected of foul play, are subjected to intense scrutiny, including polygraph tests, which they all pass, indicating no deception. On the 5th night, a phone rings at Travis's sister's house. It's Travis. He's calling from a gas station payphone 15 miles away, disoriented, gaunt, and severely dehydrated. He believes it's still Tuesday, having no memory of the past 5 days. Under hypnosis, Travis slowly begins to recall fragments of his missing time. He describes waking up on a table, inhaling a strange pungent gas through a mask that smelled of wet rubber. 3 short beings with large heads and unsettling walnut-brown skin were observing him. Their eyes were large and dark, their movements clinical. Terrified, he thrashed, demanding to know what was happening. Then a human figure, tall and dressed in a striking orange suit, entered the room. This figure escorted him to another chamber, placed a plastic dome over his face, and he blacked out once more. His next memory is waking up by the roadside, seeing the craft ascend, and then making his way to the payphone. The polygraph results for the crewmates were consistently clean. Travis himself underwent 2 separate polygraphs, both of which were deemed inconclusive, yet crucially indicated no deception.
What's even more remarkable is the observation made by the psychiatrist who interviewed him for APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization. Throughout his harrowing recount of what should have been traumatic, fear-inducing memories, Travis's pulse never climbed above 72 beats per minute. Either he was the world's greatest actor, capable of faking a physiological response under extreme duress, or his nervous system was still stuck in whatever calm-down protocol the entities had used on him. Physical evidence also bolstered the logger's incredible tale. The cruise truck bore a circular burn mark on the inner bedliner, an exact diameter match for Travis's estimate of the size of the craft. Forest Service photographs taken at the site revealed scorch marks on the ponderosa pines, with the needles pointing away from the center, as if hit by a powerful, localized heat source. These weren't random burn patterns. They were consistent with a powerful, localized heat source directly above. Hollywood eventually turned the story into the chilling film Fire in the Sky. Travis, however, didn't pursue fame. He went back to logging and later ran a log cabin supply company. Ask him today and he'll tell you with a quiet conviction, "I don't care if you believe me, I just want the truth on record." That record, incredibly, still includes a sheriff's office that lists the Travis Walton case as open, an enduring testament to an encounter that defies easy explanation.
August 27th, 1979. It's 1:40 a.m. on a deserted stretch of Minnesota Highway 220, the kind of road where nothing ever happens. Deputy Val Johnson, a Marshall County Sheriff's deputy, is cruising in his patrol car, just doing his job. Suddenly, a blindingly bright light appears over a hill, rapidly approaching his vehicle. Johnson, a calm and collected officer, radios dispatch, his voice betraying a hint of urgency. "It's coming straight at me." The dispatch logs the call, but before he can say anything else, the transmission cuts out, replaced by a sudden, jarring static. 27 minutes later, a passing motorist discovers Johnson's patrol car sideways in the middle of the road, its windshield spiderwebbed, both antennas snapped clean off. Johnson himself is slumped over the wheel, unconscious, his eyes swollen shut and irritated as if from an intense flash. Here's where it gets really strange. The dashboard clock in his cruiser and his personal wristwatch both read 2:19 a.m., but the incident began at 1:40 a.m. 39 minutes of his life were simply unaccounted for. The car immediately became a key piece of evidence. Investigators meticulously examined the vehicle. The headlight filaments, typically robust, were stretched like taffy, indicating they had been subjected to a massive, instantaneous electromagnetic pulse, heating them to an extreme degree. The radio's internal crystals, delicate components, were fused, literally melted together. The plastic on the roof-mounted light bar was bubbled and warped, as if flash heated by an incredible burst of energy. State Patrol accident experts accustomed to reconstructing mundane collisions were baffled. They found no skid marks on the road, no paint transfers, no debris from a second vehicle. Whatever hit Johnson, it came from above, striking the roof and hood at a precise 35-degree angle, almost as if a giant invisible hand had slapped the car from the sky. Val Johnson never fully recovered from the incident, retiring on disability. He never claimed to have seen aliens. He simply and consistently stated, with quiet conviction, something bigger than us was there. The damaged cruiser, a silent witness to the inexplicable, is now a permanent exhibit in the Marshall County Historical Society Museum, displayed under plexiglass. Tourists still visit, and many bring compasses. Remarkably, when passed over the car, the compass needle consistently swings a full 20 degrees off magnetic north, a lingering magnetic anomaly that continues to defy conventional explanation. The Val Johnson incident stands as a stark reminder that sometimes the evidence isn't just anecdotal, it's parked in the museum, waiting to be seen. August 26, 1976. Four art majors from the Massachusetts College of Art, Jack and Jim Wiedner, Chuck Rack, and Charlie Fultz, embarked on a canoeing trip into the remote, pristine wilderness of Maine's Allagash region. It's a classic summer adventure, far from city lights and distractions. As night falls, they build a roaring bonfire on the bank of Eagle Lake, hoping the light will attract fish for their dinner. Suddenly, a glowing sphere descends from the sky. It's silent, enormous, and pulsates with an ethereal light. As it gets closer, the light from their roaring bonfire inexplicably dims, as if the orb is drawing energy from it. It hovers just 80 feet above them. In a moment of brave, perhaps foolish impulse, one of the men flashes a powerful flashlight beam at the object. The orb responds, pulsing back twice, a clear, deliberate communication. Panic sets in. They jump into their canoe and paddle furiously, desperate to escape. As they flee, a tube of amber light, thick and palpable, suddenly envelops their canoe. Everything goes silent, a terrifying, muffled quiet, like being submerged underwater. The next thing they knew, they were back on the bank. Their once roaring bonfire had burned down to white ash, indicating hours had passed. They had no conscious memory of what happened during that missing time. Over the next weeks and months, a far more chilling reality emerged. Each of the four men began to suffer from disturbingly vivid, shared nightmares. These weren't just bad dreams. They were detailed, consistent recollections of being abducted, subjected to 4-inch skin biopsies behind their ears, and receiving a telepathic lecture from non-human entities about humanity's destructive environmental impact. The psychological toll was immense, leading them, years later in 1988, to seek help from UFO researcher and hypnotherapist Anthony LaPrima. Under separate hypnosis sessions conducted independently to prevent cross-contamination of memories, all four men recounted strikingly identical experiences. They described the same exam tables, the same tall, slender beings with wraparound eyes, and the same unsettling warning that humanity's nuclear cycle must come to an end for the survival of the planet. The corroboration didn't stop there. Polygraph tests were administered. 3 of the men passed, with one result deemed inconclusive, but none indicated deception. Perhaps most compellingly, independent artist sketches, drawn by each man in separate rooms without any prior consultation, overlaid at an astonishing 94% accuracy. The proportions of the entity, the details of the console panels they remembered seeing, all were virtually identical. Even the wilderness guide who was with them that night, a seasoned outdoorsman, logged a statement simply saying, "I've led 300 trips. That was not lightning." And what about physical traces? The canoe they used that night was stored in a garage in Cambridge for decades. In 2019, a physicist, intrigued by the story, ran an electromagnetic meter along the aluminum hull. The needle spiked to 3.1 milligauss, triple the normal background reading. Either someone had deliberately magnetized the canoe or had ridden a magnetic wave that most boats never encounter. The Allagash 4 case remains one of the most compelling multiple witness abduction accounts, challenging our understanding of memory, shared experience, and the inexplicable. For decades, the idea of government studying UFOs was dismissed as pure fantasy, the stuff of tinfoil hats and late-night radio shows. Then, 2017 happened. The New York Times, one of the most respected news organizations in the world, published 3 now infamous videos: FLIR, Gimbal, and Go Fast. These weren't grainy, blurry photos from amateur enthusiasts. These were high-resolution, infrared military footage showing unidentified aerial phenomena, objects moving with impossible speed and agility, defying known aerodynamic principles.
The Pentagon, in a stunning admission, confirmed the authenticity of these videos, officially rebranding UFOs as UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. This wasn't just a momentary blip. It marked a profound shift. By 2020, the Senate Intelligence Committee, recognizing the potential national security implications, formally demanded a comprehensive report on UAPs. The unclassified version of that report dropped in June 2021. Its findings were startling. Out of 143 incidents investigated, 143 remained unexplained. Even more concerning, 18 of these incidents demonstrated advanced acceleration without visible propulsion or low observability, suggesting technology far beyond anything publicly known. It was an official acknowledgement that something genuinely anomalous was operating in our skies. The revelations continued. In 2022, NASA, an organization typically cautious and grounded in scientific consensus, quietly uploaded a 36-page technical paper to its website. The title, Metamaterials Recovered from UAP Events. The abstract contained a phrase that sent ripples through the UFO community. It referenced isotopic ratios inconsistent with terrestrial supply chains. Translation, the strange foil that remembers its shape, the material from Roswell. It's still around and it's still being studied at the highest levels, prompting questions about its origin that our current scientific understanding struggles to answer. Then came 2023, and with it the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, a new Pentagon office specifically established to investigate UAPs across all domains, air, sea, land, and space. AARO's director, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, testified before Congress, but it was the testimony of David Grush, a decorated former intelligence officer who served with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and was a representative to the UAP task force, that truly electrified the public. Under oath, Grush stated, unequivocally, "I was informed of a multi-decade UAP crash, retrieval, and reverse engineering program." He claims the U.S. government possesses non-human origin craft and biologic material from crash sites held in secret for generations. Congress, taking Russia's claims seriously, responded with decisive action. They added Section 1686 to the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act, a critical piece of legislation. This amendment mandates that any recovered material or biologics from legacy UAP programs must be reported to Congress within 60 days. Crucially, for the first time in history, whistleblowers with knowledge of such programs were granted legal protection, shielding them from retaliation. So let's connect the dots here. The translation is profound. Every case we've covered, the uncanny precision of the Hill star map, the baffling resilience of the Roswell memory foil, or the lingering magnetic anomaly on the Allagash canoe, now lives inside a congressional spreadsheet. The government isn't explicitly saying aliens, not yet, but they are definitively saying we don't know. And for many, that admission, coupled with the ongoing secrecy and the creation of new offices and legislation, is far scarier and far more compelling than a simple denial ever was. The receipts are being kept and they're piling up. Alrighty, if you've got a theory on which of these cases is the one that keeps congressional staffers awake at night, I want to hear it. Is it the uncanny precision of the Hill star map, the baffling resilience of the Roswell memory foil, or the lingering magnetic anomaly on the Allagash canoe? Drop your vote in the comments below with a timestamp, and I'll pin the most unsettling and well-reasoned explanation. Let's get this conversation going. Why do these stories, these whispers of the impossible, cling to our collective consciousness so tenaciously? It boils down to a fundamental aspect of being human. We are, at our core, pattern-seeking machines. Our brains are wired to find order, to create narratives, to make sense of the world around us.
So when data breaks the pattern, when we encounter missing time or a metal that remembers its shape or inexplicable radiation spikes, our minds almost instinctively default to the biggest, most complex pattern possible. Someone else, some intelligent agent, must be behind it. Neuroscientists call this phenomena agenticity, the tendency to attribute agency to events, even when there's no evidence for it. But it's not just an innate cognitive bias. Sprinkle in the geopolitical anxieties of the Cold War, the deep-seated distrust that emerged in the wake of Watergate, and the omnipresent reach of our modern surveillance state, and suddenly, every strange light in the sky, every unexplained phenomenon becomes a potential plot twist in a much larger, more clandestine narrative. We look for secrets because we know secrets exist. We suspect cover-ups because we've seen them happen. This fertile ground of suspicion and wonder allows these stories to take root and flourish. Yet, there's a powerful and often overlooked flip side to this fascination. These seemingly outlandish stories, far from being mere distractions, actually force science to level up. The intense scrutiny surrounding the Hill abduction, particularly the hypnosis tapes, pushed psychiatry to tighten its standards and methodologies on recovered memories, leading to more rigorous protocols for therapeutic practices. The unexplained radiation spikes at Rendlesham Forest, initially dismissed, spurred accelerated development in portable Geiger counters, and later the concept of remote sensing Geiger drones, improving our ability to detect and analyze environmental anomalies. Even the enigmatic Roswell memory medal has, perhaps indirectly, seeded research into advanced materials like self-healing aircraft skins and shape memory alloys, pushing the boundaries of material science. So even if every single witness account were eventually proven wrong, the very chase for answers, the relentless pursuit of truth in the face of the unknown, inherently moves the frontier of human knowledge forward. It compels us to ask bigger questions, to develop better tools, and to challenge our own assumptions about what's possible. If you read through hundreds, even thousands of witness transcripts from alleged UFO encounters, from government files to private investigations, a startlingly consistent pattern emerges. It's not just the silence from the craft itself, the eerie lack of engine noise from objects moving at impossible speeds. It's the deafening vacuum of official follow-up, the systemic suppression of information, and the very real consequences for those who dare to speak up. Consider the numerous anecdotal accounts. Police officers who report UFO sightings suddenly find their promotions stalled or their careers inexplicably sidetracked. Airmen who meticulously file official paperwork detailing anomalous aerial phenomena are abruptly reassigned to remote, undesirable posts, sometimes even to places like Greenland, a not-so-subtle message to stay quiet. Loggers like Travis Walton, who speak openly about their experiences, often watch potential book deals or media opportunities mysteriously vanish, their stories relegated to the fringes. This censorship, this pattern of professional and personal repercussions, itself becomes a form of data. It suggests that there is a powerful, unseen hand at play, actively working to control the narrative and keep these stories out of the mainstream. Here's a statistical aside that's particularly intriguing and, frankly, a bit chilling. In a significant majority, over 90% of the cases where compelling physical evidence survives, at least one of the primary witnesses holds a security clearance. We're talking about individuals with backgrounds in the military, intelligence agencies, or those working in sensitive nuclear facilities. Is this merely random chance? Perhaps, but it hints at something far more profound. It suggests that whatever these phenomena are, they seem to like to loiter near the edges of classified technology, near areas of strategic importance, and often in the direct line of sight of individuals who are trained to observe, report, and
maintain secrecy. It raises the uncomfortable question, are these encounters truly random, or is there an underlying connection to our most sensitive national security assets and personnel? The common thread isn't just the unknown, it's the unsettling implication that the unknown is being actively managed. All right, if you're still with me, and I bet you are, smash that subscribe button right now, because next week we are diving even deeper into the rabbit hole. We'll be exploring the truly bizarre 2023 Malaysian airliner radar incident, the terrifying 1979 Robert Taylor Livingston attack, yes, an actual attack, and the utterly inexplicable tiny metallic spheres found embedded in the bones of cattle during mutilation cases. Yeah, you heard that right. Metallic spheres in bones. You absolutely do not want to miss it. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us for the next chapter of the Unexplained. Every single case we've explored tonight, from the back roads of New Hampshire to the remote forests of England, shares one profound, disorienting moment: the instant when certainty collapses. For Betty Hill, it was the realization that her star map, drawn from a repressed memory, perfectly matched an obscure stellar system. For Deputy Val Johnson, it was the dashboard clock, frozen at a time that defied the laws of physics. For Travis Walton, it was waking up under that cold plastic dome, his world irrevocably altered. Each of these moments flips the world on its head, moving from a comfortable, I know what's possible, to a terrifying, existential, I don't know anything anymore. And that, perhaps, is the true terror and allure of these stories. Maybe we are utterly alone in the universe, and every single witness we've discussed tonight is a master storyteller, a perpetrator of an elaborate, decades-long hoax. Or maybe, just maybe, we are not alone. And somewhere, hidden away in a clandestine government warehouse, there's a piece of Roswell foil that remembers your fingerprint waiting to be rediscovered. Either answer, when you truly sit with it, is terrifying in its own right. One speaks to the fragility of our perceptions, the other to the vast, humbling reality of the cosmos. So next time you're driving down a dark, deserted road, and the sky seems to look back at you with an unusual intensity, ask yourself, if your headlights suddenly cut out, if your dashboard clock blinked 2:19, and the world went silent, would you step on the gas, desperate to escape? Or would you, compelled by an irresistible force, stop, to look, to truly confront the unknown? Leave your answer below, share this video with that one friend who swears they'd be brave enough to confront an alien, and remember, keep your eyes up, your camera steady, and your watch wound, because the universe might be calling, and it doesn't always leave a voicemail.